Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we're going to be checking out a track from an axe named Kavalkade titled My Nihil. And if we switch over to here, My Nihil, we've got this track here out on MusicBee. We're going to listen through it from start till finish. We're going to hear what we think. Just full disclosure, I have listened to Kavalkade before. I listened to Death Wish, one of the previous tracks they put out. So let's continue with this, with My Nihil. Or Nihil. It's incredibly heavy off the bat. So tight with those guitars, really melodic sounds to those guitars, those rhythms, and then the drums as well, and bass, nice balance on the bottom. Woo! Got an incredible sort of like new metal kind of vibe there with a little bit of melodic kind of growly, screamy stuff. That's cool. The early 2000, the mid 2000 vibes are there. It's great. Okay, I'm liking the tone of the guitars. I don't mind them at all. The drums sound reasonably well placed in the mix. I'm digging the glowing of it. It'd have been cool if we'd had like a sub drop come in at this point there, just to kind of bring in a bit more oomph to that intro to this chorus here, because I can tell it's a different section. That amount of space there, just for that bam bam, is a nice way to finish it out. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not quite sure what's going on with the lyrics. I'm just going to pay a bit more closer attention to them as they need a little bit of deciding. I'm hearing something like "You Are My Problem" or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. I like the tone of the growly vocals, don't get me wrong, the screaming's fantastic and it really suits the vibe of the guitars, bass and drums. It's just that I'm needing a little bit more definition from it. These melodic ideas on the guitars are beautiful, along with those harmonies on the sides panning. Yeah, no. I dig the tone of it. It's almost like we're dancing to a solo section here. Oh, hang on a minute. I'd realized for a minute that my microphone was coming loose, so that was kind of scary. I didn't enjoy that for it. Thought my arm was broken. Oh, this is a fantastic solo section here. Really interesting with these sort of legato, shreddy passages. This is one of the better parts of the song, in my opinion. I'm liking to segmenting the solo into various points of different rhythms and sort of passage ideas. I think that's a great way of approaching, especially when you've got that amount of notes in there. Yeah, coming off with a harmonized guitar solo is a great play. A little more simple, easy to understand there. Nice contrast there in terms of its phrasing. Something takes me to the grave. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, I actually literally got a hearing test yesterday. My hearing's practically perfect. I mean, I'm not trying to flex or anything like that. It's just for the context of me hearing what's going on. If I'm gonna hear it, it's gonna be this part of my life. Which is what makes it a shame. Because I can hear from the effort put into this track that they are phenomenal musicians, and I can tell they really care about what they're doing with their music. No, it's great. Honestly, there's a lot to appreciate about this track. I want to talk about that in the conclusion. Because this is the conclusion of my review of this track, My Nihil or My Nihil by Kavalkade. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know what this track is about. I think it's just simply because of the track. I mean, like, I heard You Are My Problem or something like that, maybe Going Insane or something along those lines. There are very brief moments where I heard clearly the words. We've got, I think we double-tracked the growled vocals or the screamed vocals, and maybe that's part of what's causing a little bit of difficulty there. It's a shame because I really do like the technique. It's very authentic to the genre, and clearly we have the pipes to be able to do it, and we have the technique. I just need a little bit more clarity to be able to understand the story and what's going on there. I don't think it's necessarily a mixing issue or anything like that. And I mean it kindly and I mean it gently because I know it's very difficult. Like, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of professional, like, when I say professional, I mean, like, these guys are obviously professional musicians, but like bigger, like really big metal bands where, like, I don't understand what they're saying. And that's a common sort of complaint from a lot of people who aren't necessarily into metal, is that when there's this kind of vocal fire, growled vocals or something like that, it's difficult to know what's going on. So I'm wondering, just for future releases, and I mean, again, I mean this kindly and in a platonic way and in a diplomatic way, we just want to just make sure, like, that we test with people that maybe we're not as familiar with, people we don't know, just making sure that we can hear those lyrics nice and clearly, because storytelling is a fundamentally important part of music. This is not an instrumental. That's literally constructive criticism here. I would like to know more what the song is about, but even when I thoroughly focused on the singing alone, I just couldn't tell. But yeah, that doesn't mean to say that the technique was poor. Fantastic technique. I do like the growled vocals and stuff like that. It reminds me of bands like Arch Enemy and In Flames and stuff like that. And, you know, like, it's fine. I think outside of that, it's great. You know, you've got the overall sort of structure of the track with, like, verses and choruses and, like, distorted guitars and bass and drums, sort of rhythm and lead guitars. There were some solo sections and lots of different melodies and concepts that were really entertaining and interesting to listen to, which is part of the reason why it's a shame that I couldn't tell what it was about. But then it was also mixed blessing, because on the other hand, I really enjoyed listening to it even if I couldn't necessarily understand what it was about. And that's, again, a comparison I make with a lot of bigger metal bands, is that even if I can't tell what the lyrics are about, I don't really care, because the music's got a hell of a vibe to it and a hell of an attitude to it, and it pumps you up. And it's really fantastically performed here. These guys can clearly shred, they can clearly play those beats and drums and all that light stuff like that. They clearly know what they're doing from a performance perspective. Everything was nice and tight. There was lots of variety to the different riffs and different sections and different harmonies and chord progressions and bass lines and lots of different layers there. And so nothing stayed around too long and overstayed its welcome. It was a phenomenally phrased solo section there with the really shreddy sort of wild part led in by a sort of more simplistic sort of like one string sort of like pedal note idea, and then you had the harmonized guitars coming afterwards after the phenomenal shred, and you had lots of different sort of triplets and 16-note grows on the drums and everything like that. There was lots of variety and lots of interest there. I think it was great, you know, like, genuinely, there's a lot of stuff, positive stuff that I can say about this track. I cannot emphasize or stress that enough. Kavalkade have definitely got potential. I think that we have musicians here who I think in a live situation would absolutely stomp it. And I think this track is coming out. I mean, I'm recording this in November. I think this track is going to come out in December. And the track will probably be out by the time you watch this, if I'm not mistaken. I think this review is coming out just before the end of the month. Just before the end of the month. But, I mean, like, the structuring was engaging. It was just, there was no intro core. It was straight into the main concepts. It completely kicked your ass into 6th gear off the bat, which I enjoy. It was a really strong start, a really strong finish. No filler in there whatsoever. 4 minutes 15 well spent. Nice and loud most of the time, but I didn't necessarily mind the consistency of the perceived loudness and a little bit of lack of dynamic range because of how full-on energetic it is. And fans of this type of music within the genre will be at home with this piece. The production, recording, mixing, and mastering was good. I liked the quality of the vocal recording there, even if I couldn't necessarily hear all the words. That's more of a delivery thing as opposed to like a production aspect. Now, it was nice and full sounding and raspy and kind of, you know, compressed and glued together. The various tracks had nice, vocal parts sounded nice and full in the mix alongside the double-tracked guitar parts, the bass and the drums. Drums were nice, sidechained there. The rhythm guitar sounded a little bit prominent in some parts in comparison to others. Maybe it was just when the vocals weren't there and you could tell that they were like really swamping the drums. But outside of that, it was only like little things, little sort of things there. Most of the mix, most of the time was absolutely phenomenal, and especially in the solo section, like everything was exactly where it needed to be. It was fantastic, and maybe we were allowing room for that when we were mixing just for those leads, you know. It's great, you know, nice niching and EQing in different parts of the arrangement. It was nice and wide again, the stereo field, and there were no weird resonances in the frequency spectrum. It was nice and loud. There was a fair bit of compression limiting going on there, I think, in the master bus there, but it didn't sort of breathe or sort of like pump or anything like that. I mean, honestly, like aside from the few little nitpicks I had, I really enjoyed my time with this track because this is effectively my review of Kavalkade's My Nihil or My Nihil. I'm not sure which it is. Hopefully it's one of those two, and hopefully you enjoyed this review. If you did, please do go check out their various social medias. And I assume this is on Spotify, and there might be even a YouTube stuff. And stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time as they need the help. More than there with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.